really excited for today.
Happy Easter,
Find myself.
darling.
Yes, happy Easter to you all.
Happy Easter.
How are you, Josh and Rachel?
Good.
So this
glad
is
to have you.
Rachel and Josh Escalante, and they have 4 children, which we'll bring in later on this afternoon to introduce to you. But we're going to have a really fun time
Yes.
with this one today. That it's falling on Easter, and so we got to do our little jig.
Yep, we sure do.
Okay, we are
Sisters sharing our heart
hearts
with you. Fabulous. We're old school here.
We are. We totally are.
Love it.
But we love
I'm
it.
sorry.
That's okay. So, Josh and Rachel, I'm telling you, I have followed you for a long time. In fact,
I've known you
way
since I
back
was
in high school.
High school.
Even younger, I think.
Yeah,
maybe
probably
middle
junior high.
school.
Mhm.
Yeah. I was part of your wedding,
Yes, that's right.
which was so exciting.
Oh my gosh.
And I've watched you have all your children and
Aw.
see them grow, and so I'm really excited to have this talk today. So I would like, and you both can jump in at different times if you'd like, but I would like for you to tell our audience how your story began. Like when you two met and you got married, then you were off to Israel for the first time. So.
Rachel's a better storyteller than I am. I oftentimes go off on tangents, and
Well, that's
this
okay.
it'll
I'll pull
take
you
up the
back
rest
in.
of the video. So
Well,
I like it when she does it because she summarizes a little bit better than I do.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll have you jump in a little bit
Or
too
Dad.
at some point.
I think the good point, starting point is how we met, is
Yeah.
because I had been spent the year before we met in Israel. I was teaching in the school in
That's
Jerusalem.
right.
I was there for a year, and it's in East Jerusalem, and it's a kindergarten through 12th grade. And I was there for a year, and I'd come home for the summer and was praying about whether or not to go back the following year. And I met Josh in that summer, and I decided to stay. So we met all the way back in 1999.
Yeah, and I was working for Youth for Christ at the time, and
Oh, that's right.
yeah, and so Rachel actually came in with Ryan Petty, if you remember him.
Yes.
And he was volunteering as
We
well, and so
volunteered.
she ended up starting to volunteer with us, and so we got stuck together one day.
Got stuck together. Maybe God kind of like stuck you together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It
we
was a
used to
God
have
thing.
to send out support letters when we were fundraising, and so every month, there was a day where everybody came together to stuff the envelopes and finish the support letters and put the postage on and send them out. And that day, nobody showed up except for Rachel and I, and we're sitting in this giant warehouse in the middle of Poway's business park, and we were working for a long time, and then we got hungry, and so we decided to go out to lunch at Rita's taco shop
Sweet.
in Poway, and then we sat there and talked for a while, and then
That was it. I think.
that was it. Like
We
by
kinda
that
knew.
night, I remember it was like 10 o'clock at night, and like I had to talk to her again, and so I think at that point I said, hey, I like you, like, and it was
I
at that
love
point
when that happens.
yeah
Because it's a God thing, really.
yeah
When you meet someone
Right.
and then all of a sudden it's like so quick.
yeah.
It's just like
So it's been
beautiful.
22 years, I think.
Yeah.
22
Well, because
years.
it was
99,
99,
When
the
you
summer
met.
of 1999, and we're in 21 right now. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so when did you get married?
2003,
2003. Wow.
and then we.
Yeah, we dated for a couple years first.
Yeah.
I wasn't
We were
in a
young.
hurry to I wasn't even 21 when we met. So
Yeah, we
That's
were-
good though.
yeah.
Now we have 4 children,
4 children and
and we're living in Israel, but temporarily we're here in
Okay.
San Diego.
Awesome.
okay.
Awesome.
All right. All
How
right.
old are your children?
Okay, so Ava's our oldest, which hopefully you'll meet in a little bit. She's 12, and Olivia's 11. Eliana's 9, and Caleb's 7. Almost 8,
Wow.
I should say. Next
3 girls and a boy. How awesome.
month. Yes. Our
So,
blessings.
with having this pretty good sized family, excuse me, what propelled you
Oh.
in thinking, let's go to Israel with all these kids? I mean, there's got to be a story behind it.
Well, I had spent that year, and
Yeah.
I think I left my part of me there.
Yes.
And had always wanted to return. And so I ended up actually going to UCSD after I spent a year there, and my major was just history and then Middle Eastern history.
Okay.
So the formation of Israel and things like that. And so that was always in my heart. But Josh probably didn't have much of an interest for years until I think you probably started studying your Bible more and things like that. It became more of alive, and then you can talk about how you were going to get your
So
changed.
how old was your youngest when you went?
Caleb was 3,
Oh wow.
Yeah.
We're talking little.
so now he's 8, almost 8.
7.
Sorry.
So he's lived half of his life there.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's most of the memorable part of his life. So most of his life that he remembers is in Israel.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
Now
amazing.
the cool thing is that just 5 years ago, this past month, we were still here in the U.S. I was actually training to become a real estate appraiser, and I had been working on it for a year. You need 2,000 hours of actual training experience in order to get your license, and I was about halfway through that. And it was at that point when I was already halfway through that I just realized that God didn't make me for that particular job. And it was really hard for me to tell Rachel this because I knew that, you know, we wanted to be able to live in San Diego. It's expensive to live in San Diego.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I told her, I said, I can't do this. It's not me. God didn't make me for this. And that was a really tough decision. And then in February, we decided to go up to the mountains. Rachel's parents are pastors, and they had access to a Christian conference center or a retreat center. And so we got to go and stay up in Pinecrest Christian camp or
How
campus.
nice.
Yeah, and while we were up there, we got together to pray and kind of consider where we were going as a family. And it was at that point in time that Rachel, I told Rachel about my, desire to be in ministry, and she told me that the only way she would really want to be in ministry, one of the only things that she could really see herself doing ministry wise was to be back in Jerusalem, where she had just come back from when we first met.
I remember.
And so we began to pray about that, and we just took a few baby steps, just kind of reaching out to the people that we still knew there, and
They were
the
in
Lord
Bethlehem
really,
at that point now.
yeah, it was one of her friends that was a teacher with her had now become the superintendent of the school, and
God
that
just
Yeah.
was in
puts it
so it was
all
a-
in order.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they started a
Yeah.
school in Bethlehem the year I was in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
So it was sister school.
Okay.
And I had always thought we'd go to Jerusalem. And when I contacted my friend, he said, "You need to come and see Bethlehem.
Yeah.
It's a totally different place. It's more family
It
oriented.
is.
And
It is. I've been there.
we just see how God's hand. It was totally His
Wow.
direction to bring us to Bethlehem and not Jerusalem.
we did
so.
this wasn't something that we said, this is what we want, we are going after it. This was like the Lord was like leading us through
Yes.
all these things that, I mean, there were some pretty big obstacles. I mean, imagine raising the funds for a family of 6 to go across
That's
the
what I'm
world.
saying. That's like.
And then think about this, like during this time, Rachel and I have never been great support raisers. We're not we're not great on Facebook. We don't send out like tons of update letters and stuff like that. We're just not great at communicating all the things that are going on. And yet 4 years later, we are still funded and we are healthy. And that's totally by the grace of God, because He knew and what He's done is He's shown us that He is absolutely our provider, that we do not provide for ourselves, but
Amen.
He
So
provides
you've
for us.
learned to live by faith.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Completely.
Yes, and I mean, if I could tell you the
And
miracles,
that doesn't stop.
No,
Yeah.
I know. I know.
It is like
you know,
ongoing thing.
the more that you trust in Him, I mean, the more miracles and the greater miracles that you
Yes.
see, and that's, I mean, just this year alone, I mean, I've seen so many amazing things happen that, where I was on my knees just praying to Him, asking Him to help, and He helped. When I say He helped, I mean He helped in huge ways. I mean, things that were absolutely impossible for us were not at all. They weren't even a small thing for Him.
I know that. I've had my own stories with
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's just
Awesome.
amazing.
And I told Him, I said, Lord, I know I said I know it's impossible for me, but I know with you are rich beyond all imagination. Everything in the universe is yours. So I said, I know this is a small thing to you, and I trust that you can do this. And he did. He really did.
Yeah.
Well, what I love a little bit about this story is Rachel shared her heart about what she wanted.
Yeah.
She wasn't forceful.
Yeah.
She didn't say, we're doing this. It was like, here's where I really want to go if you want to know. And prayed and you got in the Word, like she said. And the next thing you know, you're both just on the same plane. And this desire is building up in both of you. And I just love that.
Yeah, it was the confirmations were amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's
Work
not
on it,
pushed.
just
It's just
Yeah.
you're relaxed and
Yeah.
you're waiting
You're
on
trusting
the Lord,
God.
trusting the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shirley, do you have a question for him there?
I do.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, where do you teach at?
Oh yeah.
We teach at the Jerusalem School in Bethlehem, and it has a sister school that's in Jerusalem, which is a school that Rachel worked at when she was younger. And it's an American Christian school, and we have both Christians and Muslims there.
Awesome.
Many of the Christians that are there from the community are either from the Orthodox denomination, or some of them are from the Catholic. There's also all sorts of other Protestant, traditions and so on. And I think about probably 30% of our school is probably Muslim.
Awesome.
So it's really cool. We have a
Awesome,
very
yes.
wide variety of students and representing different families.
We start K3, which is like technically kindergarten 3-year-olds, and all the way up to 12th grade.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So Josh teaches in the elementary. I teach in the high school. I teach history, geography, from 7th to 12th grade.
And everything's taught in English, so
okay.
they learn English from the time that they're in
3 years
kindergarten,
old.
and all the way up.
Now,
So,
are you volunteering your time?
Yes.
Yes.
We are not
Yeah,
paid
we're
by
full.
the school. We're
That
full.
is
The school doesn't
amazing.
pay anything for us to be there. We get to be there
I love that.
to represent Jesus and His grace.
So
that
we,
is so
we get
awesome.
supported by people
Oh,
here.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so, what grade do you teach?
Oh yeah. So he,
So I've this past year I've been teaching 1st through 6th.
Okay, all of
And-
it then.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
but the first 2.5 years I was actually a 4th grade teacher, and then this past year I was really blessed when they asked me to be the Bible teacher for the school. So I got to
that's
begin
1st through
teaching
6th.
all grades. Plus I got to teach music and art as well, which
Oh, how fun.
music's not my strong suit, but art was definitely right up my alley. And so
how
and
fun.
I've got to learn to enjoy teaching the art class or the music class as well. So.
Oh, that is so
Sweet.
wonderful.
I love that.
That is so wonderful.
yeah, it is really fun.
Okay.
Well, I got one more question.
Okay.
What are your class sizes? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
is it way different than here in America?
In the elementary school, it's like probably 18 would be my smallest, and my largest is probably around 25. I would say.
Okay.
No, that is
Okay.
quite a bit smaller than the U.S.
Yeah, yeah. So that's like, but our classrooms are smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's not so. I think it's more out of necessity.
Yeah.
Like I mean, we really some of these
Right.
rooms are tiny.
Yeah.
And we've got it pretty
Yeah.
much packed wall to wall with
the desks
with
and
desks
everything.
and stuff like that.
Okay.
And yeah, so there's not a lot of room. There when I come back and I see the U.S. classrooms, I'm jealous because
yeah.
the resources that we
resources are
have
so-
here.
yeah,
I mean, they
right.
have storage and they have
Yeah.
spaces where the kids can kind of move around and then
Yes.
where they can sit on the ground.
Resource
We-
centers.
yeah.
and-
Yeah.
we have desks and that's all that fits, and I have like a tiny space where my desk kind of fits against a wall, but it's not. We don't have the luxuries that we have here in the.
Yeah, I would say my
Children's.
classes are around the same size. I want to say the largest class, they'll be seniors next year, and they were
Wow, high
about
school.
25 in a classroom.
But
so-
you at least have air conditioning in your classroom.
Oh,
Yes, that's true.
Well, that's
high
nice.
school
The
has
humidity there can be a bear.
the high school has ACs, which is really nice.
Yeah,
That's
and-
nice.
yeah. You have hot and cold, and I think we have hot. I think in most of our classrooms, but as far as
Heaters, yeah.
when it gets hot outside, we don't.
It's the windows open.
Very few of the elementary school.
And it
classes
snows in
have-
Jerusalem, doesn't it?
It did
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
this
That's why
last
you
month.
have to have the heat, but the air conditioner for them is I mean, the cooling is optional. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Well, I think you kind of answered this next question, and I might skip down to my third one, but I kind of see what inspires you to keep continuing to want to go back to Israel is your love for the
Yes.
children
Very much so.
and for the country.
Yeah.
I mean, the impact that you can make at the school, we've realized, we went with the idea We came in the middle of the year in January to the school, and we were like, we're going to spend about a year and a half for sure, commitment. And then within that first 6 months, I think we both looked at each other and we're like, we want to stay longer. Like, the impact that you make, you're building relationships with the students, you're building relationships with their families and in this community.
Yes, it's
And
a community.
now we know so many people in our community. We know everybody that's at the stores. You go in and they know you. You
that's
talk to them,
wonderful.
And your children go there too,
yes,
right?
and so they know our kids, especially, and we kind of stick out when you'll see our kids in a minute.
Yeah.
It's hard not to
Kind of like
notice
can tell.
that we are definitely different, you know.
So this
than
has to be
everybody else.
really difficult for you with COVID that you
Yes.
haven't been able to return.
Yeah.
Do you have a projected date that you might be able to go back, or are you gonna
well,
wait for
I
the
know-
fall?
They vaccinated. I want to say almost 100% of the population of adults in Israel. So
okay.
it's like over half of the population has been vaccinated, and the adult population, it's very high. And so I think things are going to be open up very quickly. And we are working on visas right now,
Okay.
and just in a holding pattern.
Okay.
And kind of stuck at the mercy of the government.
Yes,
So-
I understand that.
But we definitely are going to try and go back as soon as possible.
Are they in school right now, or are they doing
Yeah.
distance learning?
They're doing distance learning now.
Okay.
Like, they'll be school like 2 days a week, and then all of a sudden they'll have a case or something, and then they have to shut down.
Right,
okay.
kind of
Okay.
like here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
Okay.
very similar.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, we live in sort of an uncertain time right now because this whole COVID thing. I mean, obviously we've never been through. You haven't been through this. We haven't been through this. So, living with uncertainty is actually just becoming something that I'm more okay with it, and having the Lord near to you, knowing how good He
Yes.
is. Like, I don't feel anxiety, and the thing is, I know that whatever He has for us next, I know that He has good plans, and so even if the next time that we go, even if everything changed, like if for some reason He said, sorry, you're not going to be able to be there anymore, and the next time that we went, it was packing up our stuff to come back and do something different, I know that His plans are good.
Yes.
My hope is still, though, that we get to
You
go back
can,
and that we
yeah.
get to really serve there, because I feel like we've just got our roots down, and it's like now it's time for the real work to begin.
Yeah.
And yet, at the same time, the Lord, His plans are better than ours, and so if He's helped us to lay down roots even in our own life, so that we could then be replanted somewhere else, then that's okay,
Either
And
way,
so
you're
either
good.
way we're okay. Yeah, we're gonna be good. We'll be okay either way.
Where do
so.
you live there?
Oh.
What town?
So we live in Bethlehem.
Okay.
Technically, there's 3 cities, 5 miles south of Jerusalem, and it's Beit Sahor, which is where the shepherds' fields are when they say
Yeah.
the angels appeared to the shepherds.
wow.
They would have been in the
That would have been Beit
Beit
Sahor,
Sahor.
and then
I
Bethlehem
want to go so bad.
is where they
where they
believe
think Jesus was born.
and then
Where the Nativity Church is.
and we're just Beit
Yeah.
Jala, which is right.
Beit Jala is the next hill over.
Yeah, and so they're all just
Yeah.
5-minute drive to each other. So
Okay, so,
So we're in
to
Bethlehem.
get from Bethlehem to
Proper,
your
like-
school, how far is that?
It's
you could
2
walk
miles.
5 minutes.
No, a mile and a half.
Oh, mile and a half.
Yeah,
so
it's
you're really close.
No, if you were walking, I think when I run it with Bill, sometimes from the school to the Nativity Church, which is like center of Bethlehem, I think it's about a mile and a half, maybe like a 15-minute run, a jog. We don't run very fast, and it's uphill from Beit Jala to Bethlehem.
Oh, okay.
So we go a little bit slower. It's faster on our way back. So.
Yeah, so technically we live in the West Bank. So
Okay.
we if we go into Israel, we cross a checkpoints and that kind of
So
stuff.
how do you feel as far as your safety, and what precautions do you kind of take? You've got 4 kids and
Yeah,
even yourselves. I mean, you have a van, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. Do you want to say?
Well, we feel very safe there.
Yes, that's very true.
The one thing that it's not necessarily like a safety thing, but one thing that it can be difficult is because we're foreigners. Sometimes we get overcharged for things like taking
Yes.
care of our cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
and that
I think that's international.
yeah, and it I think it hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, the Lord left heaven, to give to us, the riches of heaven.
Right.
And so, in a sense, I'm like, you know what? If we are,
It's okay.
if we're taken advantage of, it's okay,
Lord.
It is.
And the thing is that, with Him, we know that we have an endless supply of, the things that we need to do the work that He's
Yes.
called us to, and so,
Yeah.
so that we have the riches of heaven at our disposal. He doesn't give it to us, just to do whatever we want with it. But if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing with it, then whatever we lose, He is able to replenish.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
That's so true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say safety-wise, people think, we get a lot of news in America that shows
Yes.
a very volatile
Yes.
situation
Yes.
between the Palestinians and Israelis, and there definitely have been times that we've had to be cautious and careful in things that we do. We do have protests and in the streets and stuff on certain things, like when Trump changed the embassy to Jerusalem.
Yes.
We definitely we stayed home that day, and there was some rioting in the streets and stuff. And they, the Israeli soldiers come out, and the kids go out and they throw rocks, and it's just back and forth, and they
Yeah.
shoot off tear gas and stuff. That's about the extent of what we see.
and occasionally there's like family feuds too.
Oh yeah. that's
Sometimes there's big families there, and so if there's a fight between like two different families, you'll hear it.
You'll
And
hear
the
Yeah, I'm
thing is,
sure you will.
and those can escalate pretty quickly, where all the family members start showing up from everywhere, and they're gonna fight in the middle of the road or
dear.
whatever. And so that's happened around our neighborhood a few times, and
Yes.
so those are exciting times.
Honestly, we feel very safe there.
Good.
We allow our children to walk to the store down the street from us. They ride their bikes all around. Whereas
that's so
I'm more
nice.
cautious here
Right.
than
I know.
with my children going outside. But there,
Seriously.
they can. I feel very safe. Everybody knows everybody in our town.
Yeah.
Look out for
And
each other.
the the culture there is a very shame honor society, and so when people do things wrong, it spreads.
Okay.
And so you are more likely to want to stay in line and
Yeah.
behave because
Right.
everybody finds out.
You don't
And
necessarily need the police to enforce good behavior.
It just kind of like
the shame
happens.
of doing
Yeah.
the opposite will earn
it
you a
corrects
reputation.
itself.
Yeah, it'll earn you a reputation that'll stick with you, not just for your life, but for your children's and your grandchildren's life as well.
Interesting.
So you don't want to give that to your family.
Oh, of course
So,
not. Of course not.
So we've there's
That's good.
definite
I like that.
reputation to
Yeah.
uphold and
Yeah.
live up to, and people there definitely honor that.
Yeah.
So
Now Rachel has been driving with students before near where Rachel was buried. It's called the Rachel's Tomb area.
Oh.
And
because she passed away on there, and when she was giving birth,
Oh, yeah, that's
when
right.
she gave birth to Benjamin, she actually
it was in
died,
in
just
transit.
outside of Bethlehem.
And so
I
there's
did
a
not know
tomb.
that.
There's a
Yeah.
tomb there,
Mm.
and but so yeah, that's one. It's right
So
there on the
that's-
main road.
So that's where a lot of the protests happen. And so one day she was driving some students from the school to like a restaurant after school, and as they were driving, she thought
I've driven
Oh,
this
I'll let
road.
her-
I've driven this road many times, and it's this funny U-turn kind of thing. You come along here, and then you pass where the Israeli soldiers are, and they're the wall, the huge wall there, and then you come back this way and go. It's like making a U-turn, but you can't see anything on this
Right.
side of the street because there's buildings and stuff. And as I came around and I turned, I didn't realize they were protesting. And so
Oh, dear.
I see these guys in bulletproof vests that say press, and they're videoing, and I don't even know what it was that day. It was right around Christmas time because I had left the Christmas party for our high school students, and sure enough, there was these large dumpsters turned over in the street,
Oh
and
my
tires on
goodness.
fire, and rocks strewn all over the road, and
A
empty,
real riot.
and she's driving right into this.
empty canisters of tear gas on
my
the ground.
Goodness.
And I turn and I see, these guys, they have their bandanas over their faces, and the Israelis are over here, and I'm like, oh, and I stop. And there's about 4 cars behind me, and I'm about to go straight, but I'm like, I don't think I should go any further. But so this guy runs out from the side of the street, and he's like, come on, and I'm like, okay, I'm thinking, oh, he maybe,
Maybe he's trying to help.
They get out of the way. We want you to go. So I start driving forward, and next thing I know, they all just run out in the street and they start throwing the rocks at my car, and they,
Oh, no.
And
my
she's got
goodness.
like 6 students with her.
6
high
girls
school
with
students.
me, and it was horrible. They hit the roof, thank God, not the windshield, and I just immediately reversed and did this crazy U-turn and drove away as fast as I could.
She was like a stunt driver.
It was like a movie scene to me. I was like, it was just
Awesome.
crazy. Yeah, that was
Rachel
fun.
in action.
So I literally say, so we joke sometimes, I've been stoned.
Oh, wow.
Seriously, you have been. Oh my goodness.
But yeah,
She
that
got
was
stoned
that was the
Bethlehem.
craziest thing. But
Oh, that had
you
to be
just don't
kind
know
of
it. But since
scary
then-
because you weren't expecting it.
No.
And all of a sudden you're like,
Yeah, and the
I
minute
don't
I
think I
got
should
away,
be here.
I broke down crying
Of
because I
course.
was like, oh my goodness, my girls in the car. I was
How were they? They
dangerous.
were
Oh yeah, we all
Yeah,
started
they were-
crying,
yeah,
and
they
then
were all shook
Yeah.
up.
one of my neighbors,
Yeah.
she's so funny. Oriana, I love you. She just starts laughing. We're all crying, and she starts laughing, and I'm like, oh my goodness, Oriana, you're laughing. Why are you laughing? And she goes, Miss, because this happens all the time. This is nothing new.
she's
Oh,
there. Well,
no.
that's her way of
This
life,
is
right?
this is our. She said this is our life.
She's
yeah.
Yeah, so
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we all started laughing because we needed that, It was,
oh
it
yeah,
was-
the release.
yes, the release.
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
our adrenaline was pumping.
What a thing
so-
to journal that day in your journal.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Shirley, you got another question there for
I
us?
do. Okay. When on furlough, where do you reside?
Rancho Bernardo at Rachel's parents' house.
Oh.
We
Oh,
love
so
them.
grandma
Some
and
family
grandpa.
time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cassidy
Yeah.
Maddox.
That's
And
amazing.
I've known them, her parents, since
Mhm.
1992.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gone on trips with your mom
Yes,
and dad
many times.
both.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Project
Roommate with
Compassion.
my
30 years
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah, family affair here.
So that's a
You
blessing.
mentioned Project Compassion.
Yeah,
Before.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And they have a great house because the upstairs has 4 bedrooms and then they have a master bedroom downstairs, and so they are in the master downstairs, but we still have like a little bit of privacy
Right?
upstairs.
Oh, that's nice.
Wow.
And if it's a mess upstairs, like their guests
cares?
don't see all of it,
Right?
you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And
So
we
it's
can just go
actually-
up there and
Yeah.
Oh, that's
be out of
right.
the hair.
Because Jessica's married and she's off, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
your brother's married and he's off, and they got their own place. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, we're just
Yeah.
homeschooling the kids there
Okay.
because we thought we would be going back, maybe October at the latest. And here
But
it's-
maybe you needed all this family time right
Yes.
now, and God saw that.
Yeah.
I
we have
mean,
definitely
he's totally in charge, and
we've been enjoying every minute of it.
Oh, I bet you
It's
have.
So fabulous
Well,
just to have this extra time because we know we'll miss it when we go back.
oh yeah.
No, I think that we needed a sabbatical, and I think the Lord knew it, and I think this was the perfect timing, and
Yeah, we're already seeing God using it.
and even though like we have a lot of great stories from the 4 years that we've been there, it is pretty exhausting. I mean, first of all, anybody who's a teacher already knows how
Right.
how exhausting
Right.
it is to just because it's not just the time that you're with the students
Right.
for those 6 hours. It's also all the prep time that you
Yes.
do. And for us, we weren't trained as teachers, and so we were learning how to be
That's true.
teachers on the job.
Oh.
you know?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Because
And-
usually over here you're trained
Yeah.
for a year and you go
Credential,
through all
yeah.
this procedure.
Right.
And,
Yeah, and we weren't just learning how to be teachers, but we were learning how to live in a new culture. We were learning how to
Yes.
do a lot of things that we had never done before, buying cars and getting
Oh, my.
driver's licenses and
Registering.
visas and just insurance and just all these things that we complain about having to do them in the U.S. I mean, when you have to go to the DMV and sit there in line, it's so different. Everything that you do there,
Foreign
and you're doing it in a
language.
different language. It's like the culture is different. The way that people move through lines is different.
Oh, wow.
They don't even
and you have to learn that.
they push their way
You
to the
know?
front of the line, whether
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're learning all that, and it was very draining emotionally, and I don't think that we realized how tired. I don't even think I realized how tired I was until when we came home this year, and we really had time just to sit, and then the time kept on getting extended. It was like, oh well, maybe the country will open up next month, and maybe it's
Right,
gonna,
right.
I started to realize like, oh my goodness, I'm still I still don't even feel quite ready to go back yet anyway. So I was kind of grateful and relieved.
Yeah.
And then now I've just felt this like strength just building, and it's like, and I'm going,
You're being
oh my goodness,
restored.
I'm being restored,
Yes.
and I'm like, and there's
Yes.
this refreshing that's taking place, and I'm just
Praise
thinking,
God.
praise,
Yeah.
I'm praising
Oh
him
my
because I'm
goodness.
just, I know, like I know now that he knew I needed it,
Yeah.
and that in order to go back and to really be able to serve with with full strength, like this time is totally necessary. So I'm excited for whatever is going to happen there next, or or elsewhere.
What is the next chapter?
Yeah.
I think that's so sweet of the Lord, where He sees your heart,
Yeah.
and you were willing to go right back in September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Take your family, go back, and because that was your heart to be there. But God saw how you were kind of weary, how you just need to be
And didn't know.
refreshed
Yeah.
and be restored again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because we will push ourselves
Oh yes.
Yeah.
to the limit, and God sometimes puts things in our path. Stop. I want
Yeah.
you to rest in me right now. And so how wonderful that is that
Yeah, and we
He
have to
just
be
does
really
that.
really careful not to try to keep on going, because the thing is that I was reading a book about fasting, and one of the first things that it said in this book was that God can do more in a moment than you can do working for a lifetime.
I love that.
And like literally, like all the work that we do over our life, no matter how noble we think it is, if that work isn't with God and Him doing it, it's we're going to work really hard, but for very little results. But a heart that's truly surrendered to the Lord can
Yeah.
do
Love that.
a lot. I
Right.
mean, it can do infinitely more.
Yes.
And so
well, He redeems the time
yeah.
no matter what.
that's right. Yeah. And so so it's never too late to learn that lesson,
That's
and,
right.
and for Him to really use you in a powerful way.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are truly surrendered to Him, and that you just, if you want Him first, He's going to
Yeah,
bless you with
girl.
all the
Yeah.
rest of it.
Yeah.
So you have to really want Him first, not the things that He can give you, but
Yes.
everything
Exactly.
that He is.
Yeah, I remember as a teacher, because I was just, I'm ADHD, so I've got all this energy, and I love my students. I taught junior high and high school PE, and so it was so much fun for me. And but boy, I'm telling you, when Christmas vacation came,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
dropped
The summer.
2 weeks. I was
You're
like,
sleeping for 2 weeks.
I'm serious. This is like, I
So
didn't
true.
know I was so exhausted
Yeah.
Yeah.
until the vacation came.
I should say too. So our work week over there is we teach Monday through Thursday.
Oh,
Friday is the Muslim holy day, so we
okay.
don't teach on Fridays, and we do a half day on Saturday, and then obviously Sunday for the Christians in our community we don't have school as well. Whereas the Muslim schools will be open on Sunday and they go to school on
Oh,
Sunday.
okay.
okay.
So we don't even necessarily have a weekend because we teach.
Oh.
Well, we don't have
Saturday.
back-to-back
Yeah, we
days,
don't have
so
that. Yeah, so
we have
we'll
to-
have a Friday
we have a
and then we
split weekend.
teach a half day.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
so there's not so there you are. It's kind of like these abrupt breaks.
Well, don't you also you do a Bible study
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
at your house with the high
Yeah,
schoolers?
we both do actually. On Thursdays we call it Al Bait, which means the house, and
Bethlehem,
Bait.
Aw.
Yeah. So I have high school girls that come over to my house on Thursdays, and I feed them. Great big meal
Awesome.
every week. I'm cooking,
How
and
fun.
and then we all eat together, and then we open the Bible and we do a Bible study together, and then we
Oh, that's so wonderful.
pray, and then we play games, and they're welcome to stay, pretty late. And then Josh also does one on Thursday with the elementary school at the high school. They go up to the high school and they
Okay.
use our chapel, and you can explain that.
Yeah, it's just Thursdays is kind of the same thing, except for with the junior high or the elementary school kids, we go up to the high school and we do worship music and play games, and then we also have a short Bible teaching, usually a video or something like that as well. But yeah,
And you
it's
do
good.
like third through sixth grade comes and
Yeah, we had to limit, when we were trying to do the younger kids.
Yeah.
Their attention span
hard
isn't
to-
there, and
Yeah,
they're
much
becoming
different.
too much of a
Yeah.
distraction. So, and we have a little bit of flexibility with the third graders. Like they're kind of like on a behavior system. If they keep on being good, then they can come. But if they are constantly disrupting,
that's
then we
right.
have to tell them, you're not allowed to come anymore. Or like
Sure.
we'll put them on restriction for
Yeah.
like 2 weeks and
Yeah.
then they can come
Time out.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's a blessing. Like, I think that's probably one of my favorite things, because I get to build a relationship with my students outside of the school.
Yes.
Good.
And
Yeah. Very
just-
important.
Yeah, we want to just encourage them in their walk with the Lord, and or even if they have one, what does that look like? And because what their background is more, we go to the Orthodox Church or the Catholic Church, and we want it to be more personal for them.
Yeah.
And that's definitely the mission of our school, and that's the whole purpose of the school.
Yeah.
Well, it's all about relationships anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. We want people to go from talking about God, learning about God, reading about God to, actually knowing Him, talking to Him. When you read, His Word, it's Him speaking to you, and us praying to Him. Like it's all about relationship, and
So you can pray on
It's so
campus and with your students?
Yes.
Yeah, every
Yeah.
student has a Bible class, or every grade they have Bible class every day,
Awesome.
from kindergarten all the way up to the 12th grade. So-
Wow.
And does the school also go into a church? Is it affiliated with any church in the valley, or?
Yeah,
well, we have a church that meets at the high school, same place where I do the elementary school.
we meet on
Bible
Saturday
study.
nights.
Okay.
Yeah, so we meet on Saturday nights, and anyone's welcome to come.
We invite the students.
Yeah, and
families.
we have like pockets of students that are really,
It's not a giant church, but at
Yeah.
least we're all fellowshipping together. Our superintendent of the school, he's the pastor.
Oh.
And, it's kind of one of the amazing things about living in Israel is how many tour groups or people,
Yes.
Christians, want to come and visit the Holy Land.
Sure.
So we.
It's always been my dream. I just like, Lord, I just want to see Israel before I come home. You
Yeah,
know, I
so
just would love that.
We get to
Yeah, it's
meet
my dream.
so many different Christian groups or
Yeah.
churches,
Yeah.
and even our church has come multiple times.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
yeah, and we get to spend time with them, and it's definitely a treat. We just get to see people that we maybe wouldn't even necessarily always see here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you do come, you could stay with us to keep it cheap if it's like a
Ooh, I might
I
stay
mean-
for a while.
well, 'cause-
She's a great cook.
yeah, well, even better. Hey,
I love
Yeah,
it.
there
we'll
you
keep you for a while.
Do you have another question there,
I
Shirley?
do. I
Okay.
do. Okay, tell me how your children respond or react to missionary life.
Kids are really, they're flexible.
Yes,
at least at the
believe
age
that.
that we brought them, and actually, I think that the Lord gave us a little bit of wisdom there.
Yes.
Our kids were from 3 to 8.
Yeah.
We had all of our kids
Okay.
within 5 years. So
Perfect.
the youngest was 3.5, and our oldest was 8. And we thought, you know what? If we go now, we're kind of in this sweet spot where the
Right.
oldest isn't so old that she's, that it would really hurt her to be disconnected from her friends that she's made here.
Right.
And the youngest is just old enough that he can actually begin classes because we start at K3. And so
Sweet.
we just thought, you know what? Why not? It just kind of, and this was all the Lord's planning. We didn't plan this, but
Yeah,
the timing
God's
wise,
timing.
it really worked out well. And so since we've been there, I mean, they love being there. They want to go back right now.
Yes.
But
Oh.
because we've come back for the summers, 2 months in the summertime, they've also kept a good base of friends here at home.
Oh, okay.
At
So
church
they got
and-
friends both places.
Yeah, and so they bounce back and forth pretty easily between both places, and there's pros and cons to each, and
Yeah, they have definitely
Yeah.
made really good friends there. They have their their people that they just love. They'll FaceTime them even now, and
Do you have like little side trips you guys take in like vacation time, or do you ever have that kind of?
we have traveled the country. Definitely, we've been all over Israel.
it's not very big.
We were going
Yeah,
to.
I know.
We actually a year ago this week we were going to go to Jordan because we can take our car over there, but COVID had happened the day. A week before we were going to go, and we got blessed one year. The seniors they used to do a senior trip, and they actually one group of students that I had taught, they requested Josh and I chaperone them on their senior trip, so we took
So
15 students
Oh, how fun.
to Athens and to
Oh,
Greece, and that
yes.
was a blast for sure.
Yeah, that would be another place.
So
It was tiring for me.
Oh, I'm sure with all the teens.
yes, but it was
if
fun.
I would like to go back where it was just my family, where we could like really kind of spend more time.
Hang out for a while.
We
Yeah, I
definitely
felt
were on
like
the
the
go.
kids kept us up till late at night, and so I felt like in the daytime, like we were touring, but it was like I don't know how much I was really able to take in.
It's like,
So,
am I getting older?
yeah. That's the only big trip that we've really gone on, right? I mean, I'm trying.
But I mean,
Yeah.
Israel's they compare it to the size of New Jersey, so it's wonderful. You can go up to Nazareth, you can go up to the Galilee area.
Dead Sea.
The Dead
Mhm.
Sea
Masada, all
is
those places.
Masada,
Masada.
Qumran.
Everything is a day trip, pretty much. So we
That's nice. You
and
can-
then we
Mount Hermon and Caesarea
Caesarea.
Philippi.
Wow.
and Jerusalem itself is multiple,
Yeah.
trips. You
Yeah,
can-
I would like to go back and just do Jerusalem.
Yeah.
you really can spend so much time
spend time there because that's where the three major religions,
Mhm.
faiths have come out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, there's
Catholic faith, Christian,
the
no, it's Muslim,
and Jewish.
Judaism, and Christianity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing the history there.
Yes.
Just what always
And everybody
comes back
makes
to
it
me
work.
is,
Everybody
can
makes
you
it work.
imagine Jesus
Yeah.
walked
It's-
these steps?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
He was
right.
here, and it's just the book,
Mm-hmm.
the good book. It just comes alive to you when you read it
Yeah.
now.
one of our favorite trips. I have to say, we took with our whole teaching staff from the school. We got some buses and we went up to what's the city? Jacob's Well. Nablus,
Yeah.
and in the West Bank, and there's a church there that they've built over this well, and it's Jacob's Well.
Oh.
And you can go down into the basement of this church, and that well is over 3,000 years old. They want to say, no, 4. I mean, since it was Jacob's well, they say, and they know that is the well that Jesus, when he was passing through Samaria, and he met the woman at the well, that he was
Oh
there,
my goodness!
and he drank out of
Gives me
that well,
goosebumps.
and we got to drink out of it. I mean,
Oh,
that was
isn't it
probably one
awesome?
of the
Yeah,
most.
you can put the little bucket down there
You
and
put it
pull it
down,
up, and
And you take a cup
Yeah.
and you drink this water, and it.
Oh,
I mean, it's not like it's holy water or anything, but you just
No,
know that
but
it is
just-
the
that's
historic
part of history. yeah.
place,
Yeah.
and I think that was probably one of the most special things that we've done when we've gone on tours.
That's
When you're
really
talking
awesome.
about all this, The Chosen always pops in
Yes.
my
Yeah.
head.
I know.
Because I can see
Right.
all of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like wow,
Yeah.
that is it. They bring
Yeah.
it to life. You know, and I
They
just
do.
can't imagine.
Oh,
It's so beautiful.
so yeah, when we watch that, we definitely
Yeah.
we picture the things that all the places
I
that we've
bet.
been. And-
yeah.
So it's obvious that your plans are to go back to Israel, as the Lord shall lead you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still kind of in your heart, and you're preparing yourselves for that. So it's going to be a continuation for how long if God opens that door again? Do you think?
Well, so I think Josh was earlier. He was talking about how 5 years ago we went and prayed in the mountains for the Lord to direct us, and that's when we went, oh, this is Israel, and we want to pursue this. And so we just did that this last weekend. We went back up to Lake Arrowhead.
Oh,
This was a God
Yeah.
thing too. We didn't plan this. This was Claudia, Rachel's mom, said, "Hey, do you guys want to stay up in Lake Arrowhead for a couple of days?"
They
And it
had
was like it
some
just happens
leftover
to be
days
the
on that
exact
trip,
same
so-
month
Oh,
from 5 years
fun.
ago.
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
I just it didn't hit me until like later that night. But I just realized I'm like the Lord wants me to use this to pray with my family again and to spend some time considering what he has done, remembering what he has done, but also
What's
asking him
going forward.
what's the future going to hold. And so we
So
got
we
to
just prayed and
Yeah.
I feel like going for I'll let you finish, but like we're just doing the same thing. Like God, you show us now,
Yeah.
and we definitely want to pursue that, but we don't know. But we're just walking
that's awesome.
day by day.
Yeah, and it's not like anything massive happened where like the Lord just like came down and it was like, this is what you're going to do.
Right.
But one thing I've noticed is that oftentimes it's when you look back at what happened at these different points in time that you actually see, oh, you were leading me back then. I didn't recognize it
Right.
until we were kind of walking in that. So you know, I'm sure that there are things that are already in place and happening right now that we'll look back and be able to see, okay,
Sure.
yes, you definitely, you know, you were already showing me back then. I just didn't, I wasn't recognizing the pattern yet, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Our visa actually that we have right now expires in a year. So we would have to be out of the country for a whole year to return to Israel. And we've almost been out a year now. And we're seeing, well, maybe this was the point. Get that year out of the way when it's COVID.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And then
Okay.
we don't have to do it in the future when we
Yeah.
would want to
That
be there.
is like.
So we're seeing like that. Just when we realized that, we were like,
Wow.
Yeah.
"Wow, God! Like we didn't even see it, but
Right.
He knew it, and He's
Right.
doing it."
You wouldn't even have thought of doing
No.
something like that. 'Cause
Yeah.
No, we would have
you
never.
just-
We would have been
right.
like at the year 5.
Yep.
That's
You
when
would have done it when you
expires.
had to.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then now it's like, no, let's make that work in your favor.
Well,
And-
like here, maybe he's thinking, okay, well, you needed some rest, so we're going to give you the rest. You're going to be out of the country for a year. Then you're going to go back on a different. I mean, we could. This is hypothetically what he's doing right now. We don't know for sure, but that's it. It does kind of seem like that could be
Yes.
what's going on right now for us, and that we will be able to go back, maybe on some sort of other visa that enables us to stay, you know, for another indefinite amount
Which
of
I'll
time.
tell you about
So-
later, which we are pursuing a different route, so it's kind of
Oh,
cool.
you are?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I want to
Introduce the children.
bring in the
Okay.
children.
Yes, because we
But
have about
before I do,
5 minutes or
I
so.
wish I could do this, but I can't.
Do you want me to
When
do that?
Rachel went
Oh
first,
gosh.
when Rachel went to Israel first, she brought this back for me.
Oh my
And-
gosh, that's from that trip. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you
Do you
put
know
that
how to
in there?
blow
Is that? Did you
No,
graffiti
that's-
that?
No, this
Just
is no,
kidding.
that's in there.
Josh might be able to do
Can
this.
you blow it, Josh? You think?
I'm not very good at it.
We'll
My kids
try.
probably could do it better
I can
than
make the
could.
sounds. And
If this is gonna sound like someone's tooting or something.
It really does. It's so hard to learn how to blow
It
these.
is.
You have to kind of like. It's a challenge. You don't know until you try it. You have to like get your mouth just right on it.
and you gotta stop giggling.
Yeah. Oh my
That
goodness.
doesn't help if you're giggling. It's like you have to relax your lips.
See, this is embarrassing. Maybe one of my
You
kids
go
might do
get the
it.
kids.
So, I'm gonna go get
get
the
the-
children. And
I
maybe
think
one of the
my
children can
kids
do it.
might be able to do this. You have
Yeah.
to kind of like get your mouth side on the side of
Yeah.
it. See?
Wow, well, it's way better than I could do. So there you go.
It's
Okay.
an art, I would
And
say.
what? Now tell us about why the horn is blown.
no.
Oh, these are shofars.
You're not a child. No,
We don't blow them where we live, but the Jews, the Jewish people, and they blow these. They have beautiful ones that are
No.
this long.
Oh,
See, I'm
And
trying to see how to get
No,
this.
no.
You can kind of see the.
No.
Let's
you
see
have to
there.
wait.
You can maybe see the
Star.
star on
Okay,
there.
kids,
wow.
you
Wow.
gotta like sit on someone's lap.
Yeah,
Come-
here,
come,
sit
So
on
we
your
can
dad's
get
lap.
you all in.
Move this way.
Come on, sit up.
You each get a lap. There's
Scoot
four
all the way over. Scoot
four
all the way
adults and
Keep
four
going.
children. Keep going.
Keep
Go,
going.
one more.
One more. We got one
Here
more.
we go.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
There
Well,
we
I'm
go.
gonna scoot over right here. All right, we're gonna
You
snug
guys sit
in
on my
here.
lap? Okay.
All right, so Mom, you introduce your kids.
How about you guys introduce yourself?
Okay, yeah, you do it.
This is our oldest.
Say what your name is
My name's Ava Escalante.
and how old are you?
I'm 12.
All right.
This one.
Hi, I'm Olivia Escalante, and I'm 11.
I'm Eliana Escalante and I'm 9. Hi, I'm Caleb Escalante and I'm 12.
Oh,
I'm 7 years old.
he's
You
7 years
wanna be
old.
12, right?
Soon, in a few years, he'll be 12.
Well, there you go. I love it.
So, how do you guys tell me real quickly? How do you guys feel about returning one day to Israel?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
Yeah, you ready to go back?
Uh-huh. I
Oh,
really miss it there.
do you miss it? What do you miss about there?
Well,
friends.
we miss
Friends?
our friends. We
Cats.
miss
Cats,
we miss
Yes,
our
our-
school.
school.
We miss
And our
our
cats.
cats a lot.
We're grateful right now. We have some friends that
Friends
are
that are taking care of your cat.
Yeah, living in our
Aw,
place,
that's
so.
wonderful. What do you miss about it, Missy?
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah,
And
what's
you?
your
I
favorite?
miss my friends a lot and
Do
my
you?
cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you all have friends over here too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of nice. You got friends across the ocean and got friends over here.
Yeah.
And you're spending time with the grandmas and grandpas.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, are they spoiling you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's quite fun, isn't it? Well, I just am so thrilled that I have been part of this family and seeing what you have done. I just think it's so wonderful that this family can put so much faith and trust in God that they just want to go forward and do these things over there in another country and just be a missionary. I love it. I just think it's so wonderful to watch your journey
Yes.
and sit back. It's just amazing. So I want to thank everyone for being here today and being part of this show with Josh and Rachel Escalante and their family as missionaries in Israel.
Yes.
Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Bye.
And happy Easter.
Happy
Bye. Happy Easter.
Bye.